Hi everybody and welcome back. It's Rick Walton again, and yes, I am underneath trees and stuff because it's incredibly bright. Sorry for the contrasty stuff around and about, whatever, but this is as good as it's going to get, okay? It ain't the BBC, right? Just wanted to share a couple of ideas with you if I could again, and this is going to sound a bit weird and scary. Some of them are bookish kind of things, but don't panic on that, okay? I promise it's not going to be too dry, right? It won't be. Let me show you that again. I'm going to start with this, and there is a theme that will develop through this next 15 minutes, whatever it's going to be, friends. Jean Rhys, Good Morning Midnight. Read it about a month or so ago. Yes, I do think it's fabulissimo, profound, important. Backstory to that, and I kind of like this bit in a way, is one of my heroines, I'm going to use that word, bugger it, fabulous, talented woman, friend of mine from many years ago. You kind of half remember these little conversations that you have about, probably when you're drunk actually, where you say, come on then mate, who should we be reading, listening to, or whatever? Come on, tell us, really tell us. Had one of them conversations with her, as one could in those days with her. Straight away, strikingly, immediately, she said, Jean Rhys. Always stayed with me that, and yet I failed, as you do. Didn't read Wide Sargasso Sea until donkey's years later, and I got to be honest, I think I didn't read it all, I didn't finish it all, and it wasn't because I thought it was bad or poor or whatever. I think just something got in the way, as it does. Life does get in the way, right? But anyway, one of the positives around this lockdown thing inevitably is time is available to most of us. I'm doing plenty of stuff, but I'm also got some time, so dug that out because it was upstairs, and I'm recommending it. Why, Rick? Because mainly it is incredibly modern, and that's a bit of a weird thing to say, but it was written in 1930, I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, and it's set in Paris. It's autobiographical, basically. It's about a woman who has a drink problem and is a depressive, and so it's dark and it's kind of claustrophobic in the sense of it's about hotel rooms with no joy, really, and yet it's a really kind of beautifully told thing. And as I say, probably key for me is this feeling, blimey, O'Reilly, I can't believe this wasn't written last Wednesday. It is staggering in that respect, that it is so, for want of a better word, modern. It's now. It must have been light years ahead of its age at the time, and surely that's maybe some kind of pointer to some kind of genius, I think. So yes, it's a kind of feminist, actually, and that's a word I'm going to come back to, and I've got to be careful with that, and I will be. I'm going to speak more about that, I think, at some stage, but recommend Jean Rhys. Okay. Recommendation 2, and this is coincidental, and I like this about this, it's happened by accident. I found that book. My very best mate sent me this book, and I'm going to bore you with that for 1 minute before I even talk about the book. My very best mate, the mighty wit, is soul brother like you wouldn't believe, and I think this is wonderful. We've kind of drifted, isn't the word, but we've not been in touch, hardly, for a long period, right? And I think we both know, in fact we both said, that it kind of didn't matter, because actually our closeness literally went beyond words, so we didn't have to phone up or exchange words. And there really is a sort of crazy truth about that. I never felt that I'd lost this guy from my life, and vice versa. And yet, how wonderful. And again, please tell me, do tell me, that we've all got somebody, maybe, who knows you so well, who gets you so completely, that they could do stuff like, after 20-something years, speak for 5 minutes and then say, I'm going to send you a couple of things, and then there's 2 of them. This would be one of them, and it's so me in lots of ways, and he understands that so completely, and that's just magic, isn't it? And I'm sure all of us really have somebody who is that touchstone soul brother or whatever. I hope to God you have. Because we are right back on it, me and him, and we're firing each other up, and it's wonderful. And to use his word, joyful, really. So I hope you've got that great joy in your life, please. Okay, back to this. Viv Albertine, quiz question. Who? Many of you know me will know that she was a guitar player in the band called the Slits, who were a fiery little band of punkettes in 1978 onwards-ish, something like that. They were magic. I really genuinely liked them, rated them. They were just what we all needed. And by that I mean, yeah, they were kind of, they were raging and strident in a really brilliant way, an exciting kind of way that I didn't get and will never get as a bloke, right? We'll come back to that, but they were, if just for that kind of, feminist is too obvious, I mean, it's too limiting, whatever. They had a kind of really righteous fire thing going on, and I think she was at the centre of it. Harry Up, wonderful name, but the singer kind of symbolised other stuff, something strident about her movements and everything actually. But Viv, she was, I think, and I'm trying very hard not to patronise her in any kind of way, she was a brilliant powerhouse behind it and did lots of the gritty stuff, okay, behind getting the band going and keeping them going. And this 500 odd pages tome-like document is ace, because it really does register, if nothing else, the fact of her defiance, absolute defiance, endless defiance, just to get stuff on, make stuff happen, because they were women in particular, because they were treated like crap by loads of people, shock horror, men obviously, inside studios and outside. But even in a time that we look back and I'm talking about the punky kind of era, where it felt like something right on and enlightened, weirdly actually, it did, was happening, and certainly something that might be receptive to shock horror, new ideas about, you know, feminism and breaking down any issues around race, all that kind of stuff. Theoretically, yes. In practice, no, not really. She had to battle, they had to battle like crazy. And she name checks, calls out quite a lot of people, some people you will have heard of, if you've got any interest in that kind of punk and post-punk era. And lots of them don't come out of it well, some maybe do, but there are great anecdotes about, you know, and not all of the names that I'm going to reel off are necessarily the baddies in this, but Mick Jones from The Clash, John Lydon, Keith Levine, godlike guitar player, etc., etc. I mean, like nearly everybody in that era, the punk scene, she knew well, because she was a doer and a maker and creator, and yet, because she's a woman, she had to battle endlessly. So it feels kind of cruel on that. And fellas, frankly, it absolutely skewers us, and always will. People like me, in particular, 50-something-year-old blokes who think they know a bit and are sensitive and read the Guardian occasionally, etc., and yet carry all that baggage, which means that I'm still a donkey, try though I might. I feel this, you know, yeah, skewers me as well as people even worse. But fellas, do read it. Don't let that put you off. It's not a kind of nasty diatribe. It's too funny for that. There are too many great stories in it. But yes, it is about a woman's struggle, not just in the punk scene, actually critically beyond it, to have a career, God forbid, as a creative artist. She just had to slaughter herself endlessly, and I respect her for that, as well as I really like the music, the early music. I've got to go back now and find out more about the later music that she, you know, eventually struggled to make. But recommended, friends, okay? Right, third one. And this is by accident. I've got a feminist theme going on here, right? Because I chose the Jean Rhys thing. These two were sent by my mate, the Mighty Wit. This is Falling and Laughing, the restoration of Edwyn Collins by his wife, Grace Maxwell. Some backstory necessary here. Maybe some of you won't even know who Edwyn Collins is. Maybe, why not? Edwyn Collins was lead singer and kind of leading light, although he wasn't the only member in the band who wrote songs, of a band called Orange Juice. Orange Juice were active in particular. I mean, my hot Orange Juice period for me was probably 78, 79 to 81, 82, and that coincides fairly accurately with the existence of the record label that they set up, which was called Postcard Records. Fairly sure that's out of Edinburgh, certainly out of Scotland. Forgive me if I'm wrong about Edinburgh. And there were other bands on that, and I reckon you should check those guys out as well. But Edwyn Collins, this is why it touches me really deeply. He was, for me, one of the great popular songwriters who you probably haven't heard of. I'll unpick that a bit. He wrote, they wrote as a band, but certainly he was, I think lyrically he was the man, mainly. A song called Poor Old Soul and a song called Blue Boy in particular, both of those are absolutely in my life, not every moment, that's ridiculous, but they are both earworms and profoundly kind of anthemic, which is a bit weird given that they are little tiny, beautifully crafted, kind of like light indie, post-punk pop moments, but I think they're absolutely magnificent because of their beautifully kind of burnished colour and intelligence, and that whole thing of being kind of craftsman's like. Or the lyrics, just wonderful. They are just wonderful, ridiculously wonderful for a Daft Pop song. It is crazy but wonderful that some daft bugger in Edinburgh or similar would invest so much brilliance, genius in fact, and integrity and effort and skill and flair into creating something that I might wash up to for 2 minutes 54, you know. They go beyond disposable pop certainly, but do you get what I'm on about? Yeah. So I respect Edwyn Collins, absolutely, yeah, top fella. Had a career with Orange Juice and beyond, solo career beyond them. They didn't last because they were too beautiful, too small, too indie maybe, didn't have big hits because they were too beautiful, too small, too intelligent, all that stuff. And the nearest he got to a big hit was something years later, by which time he was on his own really, I think from memory, which was Never Met a Girl Like You Before. Yeah, Never Met a Girl Like You Before, and that had a sort of chunkier, America-friendly riff, and was good for radio over there and stuff. So he kind of had a second career off the back of that. Midpoint or early-ish point, Rip It Up, one of the great upful, frothy, dancey pop songs, was also his stroke theirs. You may know that, but yeah, relatively obscure, okay, as a band in a way, criminally, but went through all that, got into his 30s probably, and then became a producer, really respected producer in London, still writing his own stuff and doing, stuff that hardly anybody listened to. Anyway, cruelly, age 45, I think, had an absolute stonker of a stroke, real bad, heavy, hugely debilitating stroke, hospitalised plus, in a coma, and then years, ongoing recovery actually, difficult, doesn't cut it. And this is where we have to come back to the fact this is Grace, whom I love now, having never met. A love for her grit, again, power, defiance. Do these ring a bell by any chance? The fact that she waded so indomitably through stuff to get some kind of real attention, actually, and some of this stuff is about the fact that she happens to be a woman. I've got no doubt of that. Not entirely, but she just, drew on reserves or invented reserves or somehow came through a period where she just had to slaughter herself and then get up again and do some more to make sure this guy who she loved desperately had the attention that he deserved and the care that he deserved. Challengingly, because I'm reading it right now, and it's one of those books that I'm trying not to read too quick, so I'm loving it. The NHS is exposed in this, and this kind of fraught coronavirus moment is an interesting one, right? It's, none of us want to be seen maybe to say anything negative about the NHS, and of course very few of us would want to do that. I'm certainly not wanting to do that. Grace Maxwell didn't want to do that, but she does call out. Shocking, actually. Well, on a range, the spectrum of shocking through to sort of indifferent to poorly managed care, and that, that's kind of enlightening actually, and it's not an entirely negative reminder that actually, you know what, maybe we should push people at the top to fund these things properly and make sure that care is really, really good. Sorry if the light is going crazy here, I'm sensing it might be. Anyway, so it's a battle. It's a battle partly because she's a woman, and partly because this area of care is underfunded and under-respected, yes. So, almost endlessly, she has somebody to confront. Unfortunately, she has to turn herself into a slightly shouty woman, which she says several times she doesn't want to do, and yet has to get the care he needs. Okay, onwards. So he was in a coma for a while, and then there was no movement possible, and almost no verbals possible for some weeks, I think. And then just a flicker and here and there, and this is what is gorgeous and wonderful and inspiring about this story, is that she recognised the signs and just an occasional word, and therefore persisted out of love, and because she knew she was right, that he was still in there when people wouldn't listen. And I'm gonna move just. Sorry, it'll be poor. I'll do it badly. I'm going to read a little passage because I want to finish kind of with what I think is a really uplifting moment where he's had a further operation. I think something to do with removing or maybe putting back on the flap over his brain that they took out originally to do some operation previously. All that went pear-shaped, MRSA, etc. Life-threatening. So he's still deeply vulnerable. Human being, this guy, saying very few things, okay, but she's registering a few, and still she's having to battle against the system, or that's how it feels, to get care for him. And he comes out with this one. Okay, let's try it. So, and this is written by Grace herself in her words, okay. Edwyn's consultant came to see him, and it took about 10 seconds for him to declare that the infected bone flap would have to come out fast. First thing the next morning, in fact. Reeling a little, I asked him what type of infection it was. That's Grace, obviously. We won't know that until we get results back from the lab. More ducking, I suspected. Edwyn's registrar friend, one of the young doctors who carried out his original emergency surgery, came to see him. Sorry about this, Edwyn. You could do without it, I know. But this surgery will be straightforward compared to what you've been through. Edwyn smiled and shrugged. He's accepting the situation with, I began. Equanimity, Edwyn finished my sentence. Astonishingly, exuberantly, Edwyn Collins. He can't walk, he can't read or write, he can't talk in sentences, he feels like shit, but he comes up with an absolutely tremendous one-word response. I can hardly say it myself now. Equanimity. From where he was, for him to pull that out, I just think, I mean, the wit of that moment. I hope you get it. You might not, but maybe it doesn't matter. What matters is surely there is some recognition. Again, it's a kind of like a little statement of his defiance. Surely I'm still in here, people, and I can still throw out these magical little one-worders, actually, in this case. So take notice, value what's happening. This is precious, this stuff. And that, for me, kind of chokes me a bit. And unashamedly, it's partly because I love the old bastard. I've never met him. I now love Grace, bless her, for all this stuff. The story is ongoing. It's still a battle for them in some respects, but he has made massive progress, and the words are there. The magic is still there. So, through all that dark stuff, I just want to leave you with that thought that, do you know what? Humanity can do it, and if we show humanity, and if we value, and if we respect, and if we work, if we battle, these women have battled to get a kind of recognition for something. I love all that. I love all that. Okay, people, I'm off. I'm going to come back and talk maybe some more about feminism, but for now, take it easy, and we'll speak soon.